Guys, she did it. After 25 years of holding it together for the cameras, for the kids, for the brand, Rasheeda Frost just walked out, and she's not coming back. Sources inside the Frost Circle are telling us that last Tuesday night, inside their sprawling Atlanta mansion, something finally broke. Not a plate this time, not a wine glass thrown in the heat of another screaming match. This time, it was Rasheeda herself. Witnesses say the argument started over something small. Kirk allegedly dismissed one of the boys' basketball achievements in front of company, calling it cute in that condescending tone he's perfected over the years. But this wasn't just another eye-roll moment. This time Rasheeda didn't bite her tongue, didn't smile through the disrespect, didn't wait until the guests left to address it behind closed doors. She exploded. According to multiple insiders who were in the house that night, Rasheeda stood up from the dinner table, pointed directly at Kirk, and said the words that have sent shockwaves through Love and Hip Hop Nation. "I'm done protecting your image. My kids can't bear your rude behavior anymore. They're watching you belittle me, belittle them, every single day, and I'm not letting it happen for one more second." Then she turned to their youngest son, who was sitting right there, eyes wide, phone still recording under the table, and she said, "Baby, go pack a bag. Mommy's leaving. And you're coming with me?" Kirk reportedly laughed at first, thinking it was another dramatic exit she'd walk back from by morning. But Rasheeda didn't blink. She grabbed her purse, her keys, looked at the rest of the family frozen around the table, and dropped the final bomb. 25 years of loyalty, 25 years of covering for you, and you still think you can talk to me like I'm nothing? Not anymore. She walked out the front door. Security footage allegedly shows her getting into the black SUV alone, Kirk chasing after her. No last-minute apology, no grand gesture, just taillights disappearing down the driveway. And now the internet is on fire. Is this really the end of Rasheeda and Kirk? After everything they've survived, infidelity rumors, business blow-ups, K. Michelle, the strip club drama, the constant side-eye from fans, has she finally reached her breaking point at 53? Or is there something much darker we haven't been told yet? Stay with me, because what's coming next is going to shake the entire Love and Hip Hop universe to its core. You're not ready, but you're gonna want every single detail. The night Rasheeda walked out of that Atlanta mansion, the air felt thicker than usual, like the whole house was holding its breath. Insiders say Kirk sat there at the dinner table for a full 30 seconds after the front door slammed, staring at the empty chair where his wife of 25 years had just been. He laughed once, that short, sharp bark he does when he thinks someone's bluffing. But the laugh died quick when he realized no one else was laughing with him. Their son, the youngest one, was already halfway up the stairs, duffel bag half-sipped, sneakers slapping against the marble like tiny gunshots. Rasheeda hadn't even looked back. She got in the SUV, told the driver one word, drive, and disappeared into the Georgia night. By morning, the group chat was exploding. Love and Hip Hop cast members, old friends from the scrappy days, even people who hadn't spoken to Rasheeda in years started blowing up phones. K. Michelle was the first to post publicly, just a single black square on her story with the caption, "Finally." No explanation, just "finally." Fans lost their minds in the comments. Some were screaming "Free Rasheeda" like she'd been in prison. Others were typing paragraphs about how Kirk had it coming since season 1. The blogs picked it up before sunrise. The Shadowroom dropped a blurry photo someone had snapped from across the street, Rasheeda's SUV pulling away, and a headline read, "Rasheeda Frost leaves Kirk after explosive dinner fight. My kids can't take his disrespect anymore." Inside the family, though, it wasn't just one fight. People close to them whisper that this had been building for years, layer after layer of small cuts that never quite healed. Kirk's comments about her weight after baby number 4. The way he'd correct her in meetings like she was an employee instead of a partner. The late nights that turned into mornings with no explanation. Rasheeda always handled it the same way. She'd smile tighter, change the subject, post another cute family photo on Instagram to remind everyone they were solid. But the kids were getting older now. They weren't babies anymore. They saw things. They heard things. And that night at dinner, when Kirk waved off their son's game-winning shot as just luck and then turned to Rasheeda and said, "You always hype them up too much. It'll make them soft." Something in her finally cracked wide open. She didn't yell at first. Her voice stayed low, almost calm, which made it scarier. She looked around the table at her children, at the staff pretending not to listen, at Kirk still chewing like nothing happened, and she said, "You know what hurts the most? Not the words you say to me anymore. It's the way my boys look at you when you talk like that, like they're waiting for permission to feel proud of themselves. And I'm done waiting for you to change." Kirk rolled his eyes. Here we go again with the dramatics. He reached for his phone like the conversation was over. That's when Rasheeda stood up so fast her chair scraped loud against the floor. She pointed at him, fingers shaking just a little, and said, "No, not again. Not this time. You don't get to dismiss this like it's another episode edit. This is real life. Our real life. And my kids deserve better than watching their father treat their mother like an accessory." The room went dead quiet. Even the youngest stopped moving on the stairs. Kirk finally looked up, really looked, and for a split second something flickered across his face. Maybe regret, maybe just surprise that she wasn't backing down. But he recovered quick. He smirked and said, "You leaving for real this time? Or you just need a night at the Four Seasons to cool off?" Rasheeda didn't answer with words. She just walked over to her son, took the bag from his hand, slung it over her own shoulder, and said, "Come on, baby. We're going somewhere we can breathe." The other kids exchanged glances. The oldest daughter started crying quietly. The middle son looked like he wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Rasheeda paused at the doorway, turned back one last time, and her voice cracked just enough for everyone to hear the hurt underneath the anger. 25 years, Kirk. 25 years I built with you, held you down, took the bullets for the brand. And you still think you can talk to me like I'm replaceable? Well, guess what? I'm not. She walked out. The door closed soft, almost gentle, but it might as well have been a gunshot. Kirk sat there staring at his plate. No one moved. No one spoke. Outside, the SUV's engine hummed to life and then faded down the long driveway. The next 48 hours were chaos. Rasheeda checked into a private suite at the street. Regis, no cameras, no entourage, just her son, and a do not disturb sign that stayed up for 2 days straight. She didn't post anything, no cryptic quotes, no "I need space" selfies, just silence, and that silence screamed louder than any rant ever could. Kirk, on the other hand, went live on Instagram less than 12 hours later. He sat in the home gym, sweat still on his forehead like he'd been working out his feelings, and started talking. "Y'all know how we do. Marriages have ups and downs. Rasheeda just needs a minute. She'll be back. We family. Always have been." He laughed that same laugh from the night before, but it sounded forced this time. Comments flooded in. Some supportive, calling him a king for staying calm. Most were brutal. "Leave her alone. Let her go. You've been toxic since day one." Behind the scenes though, the real conversations were happening in group texts and late-night calls. Rasheeda's mom was on the first flight from Memphis. She showed up at the hotel with a suitcase full of home-cooked food and zero patience for Kirk's excuses. She told her daughter straight up, "You raised those boys to respect women. You showed them love looks like partnership. If he can't give you that, then he doesn't get to keep you." Rasheeda cried for the first time since she left. Not loud sobs, just quiet tears while her mom rubbed her back like she was 5 years old again. Friends started taking sides fast. Scrappy posted a throwback photo of him and Rasheeda from the early days with the caption, "Real ones recognize real ones." Mama D went live and said, "I love Kirk like a son, but if my baby girl says enough, then it's enough." Even Joseline, who usually stays out of it, dropped a voice note in a private chat that leaked somehow. She said, "Rasheeda, baby, you've been carrying that man too long. Drop the weight and run." The fans were divided down the middle. Half were ride or die for the Frost family, posting montages of every time Kirk and Rasheeda made up after a fight. The other half were done, changing profile pics to black hearts and typing "Rasheeda deserves peace" in every comment section. Blogs kept the story alive with hourly updates. Did she file papers yet? Is Kirk begging behind closed doors? Who gets the ice cream shop? Who keeps the cars? But the real bomb dropped 3 days later when Rasheeda finally broke her silence. Not with a long post or a live, just one single Instagram story. A photo of her hand holding her son's, both of them wearing matching gold bracelets. She'd bought years ago. The caption read, "Protecting their peace is my only job now." No emojis and no hashtags, just those 11 words. And that's when everyone knew this wasn't another break. This was different. This was Rasheeda drawing a line in the sand and refusing to cross back over it. Kirk saw it too. Sources say he stared at his phone for 10 full minutes before he threw it across the room. The crack echoed through the empty house. For the first time in 25 years, he was alone with his thoughts, and they weren't kind. The fallout hit harder than anyone expected. Rasheeda stayed locked in that St. Regis suite for 4 more days. Phone on Do Not Disturb, except for her mom, her lawyer, and one trusted stylist who snuck in with garment bags and 0 questions. She wasn't hiding, she was recalibrating. Every morning her son would wake up to room service pancakes, and her sitting by the window staring at the skyline. like she was rewriting her whole life story in her head. He asked once, soft, "Are we really not going home, Mommy?" She looked at him with eyes that were tired but clear and said, "Home isn't a building, baby. Home is where nobody makes you feel small. That's what we're building now." Kirk, meanwhile, turned the mansion into command central. He called in every favor he had, producers from the show, old business partners, even a pastor they'd done couples counseling with back in 2015. He told them all the same things: she's just mad, she'll come around, we always do. But the cracks were showing. He stopped posting gym selfies. The ice cream trucks he usually paraded on his story sat parked and silent. Neighbors reported the house lights stayed on all night like he couldn't sleep. One night around 3 a.m., security caught him sitting on the front steps in basketball shorts and a hoodie, staring at the driveway like he could will her car back up it. Then the first real twist landed like a grenade. A close friend of RASHEEDA, someone who'd been in the inner circle since the scrappy days, leaked audio to a gossip podcast. Not the full fight, just the tail end. RASHEEDA's voice, steady but shaking. "You think because you pay the bills you get to decide how I feel, how our kids feel. I've been the backbone of this family while you played king. Well, kings without queens fall, Kirk. And I'm walking away before I let you drag us all down with you." The clip ended with the sound of her heels clicking away and Kirk muttering something low that sounded a lot like "you'll be back begging." The internet ate it up. The podcast episode broke records in under 12 hours. Hashtags like hashtag RASHEEDA was right and hashtag Kirk exposed trended worldwide. Kirk's team tried damage control fast. They dropped a statement through his PR. "The Frost family is handling private matters privately. We ask for respect during this time." But it was too late. Fans started digging deeper. Old episodes got rewatched with new eyes. Every side-eye RASHEEDA ever gave Kirk in confessionals. Every time she laughed too hard at his jokes, like she was convincing herself they were funny, people saw it now. The comments sections turned into therapy sessions. One viral thread read, "Season 3 reunion when Kirk said she was too emotional to handle business. That wasn't cute, that was control." Another user posted, "Remember when he brought that other woman around the shop and RASHEEDA had to smile through it? She's been performing peace for decades." RASHEEDA's silence broke on day 7, not with drama, but with grace that cut deeper than any rant could. She posted a carousel first slide her and the kids at a quiet park nobody recognized, laughing. No makeup, no filters. Second slide, a close-up of her wedding ring sitting on a hotel dresser next to a single rose that was already wilting. Third slide, black background, white text. "I stayed because I believed in us. I leave because I believe in me, and in them. Thank you for the love. Please give my children space to heal. No more questions. No live. Just that." The post hit 10 million views in 24 hours. The family split right down the middle after that. Her oldest daughter moved into the hotel the next morning with 2 suitcases and a quiet "I'm with you, Mom." The middle son stayed neutral, texting both parents but refusing to pick sides in public. The youngest clung to RASHEEDA like glue. Kirk's sister flew in from Memphis and tried to mediate. She sat with RASHEEDA for 3 hours behind closed doors. When she left, she looked 10 years older. To the waiting cameras outside, she only said, "Pray for them. That's all I can ask." Producers smelled blood. Urgent Zoom calls went out. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta was mid-season prep, and this was ratings gold. They offered RASHEEDA her own spin-off, RASHEEDA, New Chapter. Solo billing, creative control, no Kirk required. She didn't say yes right away. She told her team, "Let me think." But insiders say the contract was already being looked over by her new lawyer, the same lawyer who'd quietly started reviewing their prenup and business holdings months earlier, long before the dinner explosion. Kirk felt the ground shifting. He showed up at the St. Regis, unannounced on day 9. Security turned him away at the lobby. He didn't yell, didn't make a scene, just stood there in a black cap and mask holding flowers until a manager politely asked him to leave. Paparazzi caught every second. The photos went viral. Kirk Frost denied entry to wife's hotel. The caption wrote itself. He went back home and posted one story, a black screen with white words. "I love my wife. Always will. If she reads this, I'm sorry. Take all the time you need. I'll wait." Fans were torn. Some called it growth. Most called it too little too late. But the biggest bomb was still coming. 2 days later, a blind item dropped on an anonymous T page. Sources say the real reason RASHEEDA left isn't just the disrespect at dinner. There's receipts. Financial ones. Business ones. Things Kirk thought were buried in shell companies. Things that could change how the public sees the whole Frost empire. The post didn't name names, but everyone knew. The comments exploded with guesses. Is it taxes? Missing money from the boutiques? Another secret baby rumor. Nobody had proof yet, but the seed was planted. Rasheeda saw it too. She didn't comment. Instead, she scheduled her first public appearance since the walk at a small charity event for single mothers in Atlanta. No cameras allowed inside, but she walked the red carpet in a simple white dress. Hair natural. No jewelry except those gold bracelets she and her son matched. When a reporter shouted, "Rasheeda, are you divorcing Kirk?" she paused, looked straight into the lens, and said, "I'm focusing on peace right now. Everything else will reveal itself in time." Then she kept walking, poised, unbothered, untouchable. Kirk watched the clip on loop in his empty living room. The house felt bigger without her laugh echoing off the walls. He poured a drink, stared at the wedding photos still hanging above the fireplace, and whispered to nobody, "You really did it this time." And for the first time since she left, the laugh didn't come. Just silence. Heavy silence. The streets were talking now. Not just fans. Not just blogs. People in the industry. Vendors who'd worked with them for years. Stylists, accountants. Everyone had a story. And slowly, piece by piece, those stories started connecting. Rasheeda wasn't just leaving a marriage. She was leaving a version of herself she'd outgrown. And whatever came next, whether reconciliation, court battles, or total freedom, the one thing everyone agreed on was this: Rasheeda Frost at 53 wasn't snapping. She was awakening. And nothing would ever be the same. The whispers turned into roars as week 2 without Rasheeda stretched into week 3. The charity event appearance had been her soft opening to the world, a quiet statement that she wasn't broken, just redirected. But now the real moves were happening behind velvet ropes and ND. Her new team was small but lethal. A shark of a divorce attorney who'd handled 3 other high-profile Atlanta splits, a PR strategist known for turning scandals into empowerment arcs, and a financial forensic accountant who'd already spent 48 straight hours buried in Frost Family LLC documents. What they found wasn't pretty. Layered shell companies, questionable transfers, business accounts that looked clean on paper but had more red flags than a bullfight. Nothing illegal enough for handcuffs yet, but enough to make any judge raise an eyebrow during asset division. Rasheeda didn't rush to court. She didn't need to. The pressure was building on its own. Kirk started feeling it when vendors called asking about overdue invoices for the last ice cream pop-up, when his favorite custom jeweler suddenly required payment up front, when a major sponsor for the upcoming Love and Hip Hop reunion pulled out citing scheduling conflicts that everyone knew weren't real. He laughed it off in private texts to friends, small people playing big games, but the laugh was hollow now. He started showing up at places he knew she'd be. First, a low-key brunch spot in Buckhead where her mom had taken the kids for waffles. He sat 2 tables away, staring until Rasheeda's mom marched over and said, "If you love her, let her breathe." He left without a word. The second twist came from an unlikely source, their oldest daughter. She'd stayed mostly quiet online, but one night she went live from what looked like a hotel balcony. No makeup, hair in a messy bun. Voice steady but thick with emotion. She said, "I love both my bun." Voice steady but thick with emotion. She said, "I love both my parents, always will. But watching my mom shrink herself for years hurt me more than anyone knows. Dad, you taught us to be strong. Mom showed us how to stay strong even when it costs everything. I'm choosing her peace over our picture-perfect story. I'm not picking sides against you. I'm picking sides for healing." The live ended with her blowing a kiss to the camera and muting comments. It got reposted everywhere. Even people who hated drama couldn't look away. The clip humanized everything. Suddenly it wasn't just celebrity gossip. It was a daughter protecting her mother's heart. Kirk reacted publicly for the first time since the initial live. He posted a video not in the gym this time, but in their home office, the one with family photos still on the wall. He looked older, tired. He said, "I heard what my baby girl said, and she's right about a lot. I haven't been the man I promised to be. Not always. I've made mistakes. Big ones. But I love my family more than this world knows. Rasheeda, if you're watching, I miss you. I miss us. I'm working on me. Not for the cameras. For real, this time." He paused, swallowed hard, and added, "To my kids. I'm sorry I let pride get louder than love. Forgive your old man when you're ready." The post got mixed reactions. Some called it genuine tears. Others said crocodile tears for sympathy votes. But the views climbed into the millions anyway. Rasheeda watched it alone in her suite. She didn't cry. She just sat there breathing slow and deep like she'd practiced in therapy sessions she'd started attending twice a week. Her therapist had told her something simple but powerful. You don't owe anyone your timeline, not even him. So she waited and planned. Quietly she started reaching out to old collaborators she'd stepped away from during the marriage years. Producers, designers, even a music exec. who'd always wanted her to drop a solo project. Doors that had been politely closed started cracking open again. She wasn't announcing anything yet, but the energy shifted. People were excited about RASHEEDA the woman, not just RASHEEDA the wife. Then came the leak that changed the game completely. An anonymous drop to a major blog included screenshots, bank statements, emails. Nothing forged to clean for that, but damning all the same. Transfers from joint accounts to accounts only Kirk had access to. Invoices for trips and gifts that never made it to family photos. A wire to a woman whose name had floated in old rumors but never been proven. The blog headline screamed exclusive. Financial secrets surface in RASHEEDA. Kirk split. Did he move money before the blow-up? The post included a timeline that suggested some of the moves happened months before the dinner fight. Like Kirk had been preparing for something, or hiding something. The internet detonated. Conspiracy threads popped up everywhere. Was this why she finally snapped? Did she find the receipts that night? Was the rude behavior comment just the last straw on a haystack of betrayal? Fans who once defended Kirk started unfollowing in droves. Even some castmates went silent. Scrappy posted one word. Damn. Mama D reposted RASHEEDA's peace carousel with praying hands. K. Michelle didn't post at all. She just changed her profile pic to a photo of her and RASHEEDA from years back. Arms around each other, both laughing like sisters. Kirk's phone blew up. Lawyers on speed dial. Damage control meetings at dawn. He issued a blanket denial through PR. These documents are being taken out of context. We are cooperating fully with any inquiries. The Frost family remains committed to privacy, but the damage was done. Sponsors started ghosting. One major brand pulled an upcoming collab citing creative differences. Another paused payments pending review. The empire he'd built with her name on half the signage suddenly felt shaky. RASHEEDA still didn't speak on it directly. Instead, she did something bolder. She hosted a private dinner for single mothers and female entrepreneurs at a rooftop spot downtown. No press release, no live stream, just But word got out. Photos leaked anyway. RASHEEDA in the center of the table, pouring wine, laughing real laughs. Surrounded by women who looked at her like she was proof you could survive anything. One guest later told a blogger, she didn't talk about Kirk once. She talked about starting over. About how scary it is, but how free it feels. She said the best revenge is building something they can't touch. That night, Kirk drove past the venue. He didn't stop, just slowed down enough to see the lights and silhouettes through the windows. He parked a block away, sat in his truck with the engine off, and watched until the last car left. Then he drove home alone. Again. By the end of week 4, the narrative had flipped entirely. What started as a dramatic walkout was now being reframed as a long overdue liberation. Podcasts debated it daily. Therapists weighed in on morning shows. Even non-reality TV watchers knew the name RASHEEDA Frost. And through it all she stayed measured. No shading. Just forward motion. But the biggest question still hung in the air like smoke. What would she do next? Forgive? Fight? Disappear into a new life? Nobody knew. Not even her closest circle. Because RASHEEDA had learned the hardest lesson of all, sometimes the strongest. Move is keeping your next play to yourself until it's already checkmate. And whatever came after that dinner explosion? One thing was crystal clear. The woman who once built an empire beside a man was now building one without him, and it looked unbreakable. The tension had been simmering for weeks, but week 5 felt like the pot finally boiled over in slow motion. RASHEEDA emerged from her cocoon, not with fireworks, but with quiet thunder. She announced a pop-up event at one of the old Frost boutique locations she'd helped design. Years ago, before the ice cream trucks, before the empire expanded beyond Atlanta. The flyer was simple: rebirth. A conversation on starting over. Tickets sold out in 17 minutes. No cameras invited inside. But the streets outside were lined with fans holding signs that read, "We see you, Queen in peace, looks good on you." When she stepped onto the small stage in a cream linen jumpsuit, hair pulled back. No jewelry except those gold bracelets. The room hushed like church. She didn't start with Kirk. She started with herself. Voice soft but steady. She said, "For a long time I thought my worth came from how well I held everything together. The marriage, the business, the image, the kids. I smiled through the storms because that's what strong women do, right? But strength isn't swallowing pain. Strength is spitting it out when it's poisoning you." The audience erupted in snaps and amens. She continued, "I left because my children were starting to mirror the same quiet hurt I carried for decades. They deserve to see what real love looks like, not performance, not endurance, but partnership, respect, joy. And if I want that for them, I have to live it first." Back at the mansion, Kirk watched the live stream someone had snuck onto YouTube. He didn't rage. He just sat on the couch they'd picked out together in 2008, elbows on knees, face in hands. When the stream ended, he texted her one line. "I heard every word. I'm proud of you, even if it kills me." She didn't respond. Not because she was cruel, because some apologies need time to marinate before they can be accepted or rejected. The financial leak story kept growing legs. The accountant RASHEEDA hired had quietly filed motions to freeze certain accounts pending discovery. Nothing public yet, but court watchers noticed the filings. Blogs speculated wildly. Hidden assets, offshore, another family. Kirk's lawyers pushed back hard, calling it character assassination, but the seed of doubt had taken root deep. Sponsors that had paused started quietly dropping him altogether. One major retailer pulled Frost-branded merch from shelves with a vague statement about reevaluating partnerships. The man who'd once walked red carpets like he owned them now moved through Atlanta with tinted windows up and head down. Then the third and final twist nobody saw coming. RASHEEDA's team dropped a teaser trailer for what looked like a documentary series, not a reality show spin-off. Something raw, called Unbroken. Grainy footage of her walking alone at sunrise. Voiceover saying, "I spent 25 years building a life that looked perfect from the outside. Now I'm building one that feels perfect from the inside." The trailer showed no Kirk footage, just her. The kids laughing in new spaces. Her hands sketching business plans late at night. Her praying in a quiet corner. The last frame froze on her face, calm eyes forward. With text overlay, "Coming soon." The internet went feral. Netflix reportedly called within hours. HBO Max too. She hadn't signed anything yet, but the offers were pouring in. Kirk made one last public play. He booked a solo interview on a popular podcast, the kind where people go to bare their souls. He showed up in a plain black tee. No chains, no flash. The host asked, straight up, "Is it over?" Kirk exhaled long. He said, "Man, I thought love was enough to fix anything. I was wrong. I hurt her. I hurt our kids. I let ego run the show too many times. If she never speaks to me again outside of co-parenting, I deserve that. But if there's even a 1% chance, I'll spend the rest of my life earning it back. No games, no cameras, just work." He teared up once, wiped it quick, and ended with, "RASHEEDA, thank you for showing me what real strength looks like. I love you, always will." The clip spread like wildfire. Some fans softened, others stayed firm. Too late, RASHEEDA watched it in private with her mom. Her mom asked, "What are you feeling, baby?" RASHEEDA stared at the paused screen for a long minute, then said, "I'm feeling free. Not angry anymore. Not sad. Just free. Feeling free. Not angry anymore. Not sad. Just free."